It's time for another My Little Pony episode review. Today I'm going to be looking at one of my favorite episodes of the series. So let's begin. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Season 1, Episode 23, All's Well That Ends Well. This episode starts off with Twilight, Sparkle, and Spike getting ready for something they are going to tonight. It is apparently a time when stars are going to fall. Spike has made some refreshments for the event and helped Twilight pack all the other things that she may need for it. While packing, Twilight tells Spike that he's her #1 assistant. In fact, he's her only assistant. Before they leave, Twilight asks Spike to get her book about stars, planets, and constellations. Spike goes to get it, dusts it off, but then he sneezes and winds up torching the pages in the book. Spike puts the book back and lies to Twilight saying the book was missing. Remember that, for it will be brought up later. That night, the main six, Spike and the Cutie Mark Crusaders, are all gathered around for the falling of the stars. And all the ponies are, like, patting Spike on the back for all the stuff he's done. And Rarity even makes him a special bow tie. During this scene, Scootaloo offers to be Rainbow Dash's assistant. You know, because she idolizes her. I guess we could kind of assume that Scootaloo has no siblings, at least as far as we know, but I digress. Then the ponies watch the stars fall, with the littler ones standing on the backs of the bigger ones. This is one of the rare times you'll see Rarity support someone on her back, and in this case, it's Sweetie Belle. Spike falls asleep before the show is over, and Twilight takes him home and puts him to bed. Before she crashes for the night, Twilight writes a report on what she saw that night, but then a breeze comes and blows away her paper. Then suddenly an owl comes in, retrieving her paper. Twilight decides to let the owl stay, and since it was so cold outside. The next morning, Spike wakes up late. He runs up to Twilight asking what she wants for breakfast. And I learned from what Spike said that ponies actually do eat normal food and not just plants, gemstones, and sweet stuff and what have you. So Twilight tells Spike that the owl she met did all of Spike's morning chores for him. And she named the owl Aloysius. Yeah, terrible pun, I know. Spike meets Aloysius and finds him to be a bit creepy. Now, there's this running gag of Spike and Aloysius having conversations in the style of that famous Abbott and Costello skit. You know, who's on first? But I guess Spike has never met an owl before, since he doesn't know that who is the sound that owls make. Later that day, Twilight shows the other main ponies Aloysius, and they all get amazed by him. And even Rarity gives him the same bow tie she made for Spike. This, of course, gets Spike all mad and jealous, thinking Twilight is trying to replace him. Then we see this montage of Spike trying to get stuff for Twilight, but Aloysius beats him to the punch. It then leads to Spike going out into Ponyville on a wild goose chase looking for a quill for Twilight. He first stops at a place called Quills and Sofas, which only sells quills and sofas. Which I find kind of weird, but anyway, they're all out of quills, yet have plenty of sofas. And you'd think sofas would be more valuable, but I guess they're a lot heavier and more expensive, so that's why they sit around for a while. Next, Spike goes to Pinkie Pie's house, but she doesn't have any quills, but all this other stuff that begins with Q. And I don't know why, but I caught myself laughing when Pinkie said quesadilla. I'm going to start calling those that from now on. Then finally, Spike goes to Fluttershy's backyard, chases down one of her chickens, and gets a feather off of it. He returns only to find out that Aloysius had already given Twilight one of his feathers to use as a quill. This is about the time when we see that book again. Aloysius had found the book, and Twilight is now mad at Spike. Not because of what Spike did to the book, but because he lied to her. Thinking Aloysius was setting him up, Spike comes up with a revenge tactic on Aloysius by making it look like he killed a mouse. But Twilight catches Spike doing this, and this makes her even angrier. This brings Spike to the conclusion that Twilight doesn't love him anymore, so he decides to run away from home. While leaving, it rains, so Spike runs into a cave for shelter, but then sees a whopping horde of gemstones in the cave. Soon after, it turns out this cave belonged to another dragon, who is now determined to... I don't know what he was going to do, but it couldn't be good for Spike. Twilight and Aloysius show up just in time to save Spike. Spike gets on Twilight's back, and Twilight gallops as far as she possibly can with Aloysius guiding her through the darkness. Yeah, even after all Spike did in this episode, they still have the heart to go looking for him and save his life. So after all that, Spike explains to Twilight why he ran away, but then Twilight explains that Aloysius was only offering some extra help at night and not to replace Spike. So Spike apologizes for letting his jealousy get the better of him, and Twilight apologizes for not being sensitive enough. Everyone forgives each other, and all is right again. Now, final verdict on this episode. This is my second favorite episode of the series by far. The reason why is because I really love the friendship connection between Twilight and Spike, and this episode really showed how much Twilight and Spike really cared about each other, and that they'll always be best friends no matter what may happen. Well, maybe not in both ways. I still believe that Applejack is Twilight's best friend, but as for Spike, I think that Twilight will always be his best friend, even though there are times when she annoys him. Twilight is like a big sister to Spike. As for Aloysius, I don't really have much to say about him since we don't really see much of him. Season 3 is over now, and so far we've only seen him in one episode per season. And apparently Twilight has also adopted him as her pet. Well, I guess that was a nice long review for you guys. I think for my next episode review, I'm going to touch up on a fan favorite. Which one, you may ask? Well, get ready, all you Rarity fans, because my next episode review is going to be on a dog and pony show. So until next time, Powerpup 97 away!